Seeing a high creatinine number on your lab report can stop you cold. You start wondering what you did wrong, whether your kidneys are failing, and how fast things might get worse. That fear is real, and if you're past 60, you have probably felt it. What I want to give you today is a simple morning ritual: 1 glass, plus a few small support moves that actually make sense together. The drink is diluted apple cider vinegar in water. I picked it because it is cheap, easy to find, and something you can repeat every morning for 10 days without burning out or giving up halfway through. Here is how we will go through this. First, the glass itself, what is in it, and why it leads the list. Then the support steps that keep the whole thing from falling flat by lunchtime, and at the end, a short safety check so you know when to pause and call your doctor. The base drink is 1 full glass of water, roughly 8 to 12 ounces, with 1 to 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar stirred in. That is it. Not a harsh cleanse, not a detox claim, and certainly not a replacement for whatever your doctor has you doing for your kidneys right now. This is a hydration-first drink with a small measured add-in, nothing more. So why does it lead the list? Because hydration is the single most direct support you can give your kidneys in the morning. Your body loses fluid overnight through breathing and sweat, and by the time you wake up, your blood is slightly more concentrated. That alone can push a creatinine reading higher on a lab draw. Creatinine is a waste product from normal muscle breakdown, and your kidneys filter it out constantly. When fluid intake drops, filtration slows, and the number climbs. It is not always disease progression. Sometimes it is just dehydration, wearing a scary mask. Apple cider vinegar earns its spot here for 2 reasons that matter to kidney health. First, there is some evidence it helps blunt post-meal blood sugar spikes and poor glucose control over time, add strain to the filtering units inside your kidneys. Second, acetic acid can shift urine chemistry in a direction that makes certain types of mineral buildup less likely. Neither of these effects is dramatic, but over 10 mornings of consistency, small shifts add up. This drink will support the system you already have, especially if dehydration and blood sugar swings have been working against you without you realizing it. The practical ritual matters as much as the ingredients. Take it in the morning, either 15 minutes before breakfast or with your first bite of food, depending on what your stomach tolerates. Use a straw if you have one, because vinegar is acidic enough to soften tooth enamel over time, and rinse your mouth with plain water right after it. If you have reflux or a sensitive stomach, start with 1 teaspoon and take it with food, never on an empty stomach. I want to point out something you have probably noticed if you have searched for kidney flush drinks before. Most of them are loaded with sugar, powders you cannot pronounce, or huge blends of herbs that cost $40 a bag. Seniors trying to follow those plans often quit after 2 days because it is too complicated or too expensive, or it upsets their stomach. This version stays simple enough to actually do every morning for 10 days straight, and that repeatability is what makes it worth trying. But even the best morning glass will not help much if the rest of your day pulls your kidney numbers the other way. That first morning drink gives your kidneys a head start, but 1 glass does not carry you through the whole day. Creatinine can climb just from being mildly dehydrated by early afternoon, and a lot of seniors do not realize they are running low on fluids until a headache or dry mouth shows up hours later. So the second piece of this ritual is steady hydration across the full morning, not just one and done. You do not need to chug water all day. That can actually be dangerous if you have heart failure or a fluid restriction from your doctor. What you want is consistent, small amounts. After the ACV glass, have another plain glass of water within the next 2 hours. Then keep sipping through the morning at a pace that keeps your urine light yellow, not dark, and not completely clear. Dark urine in the late morning is a sign you are already behind. Over the 10 days, track a few simple things. Step on the scale each morning after you use the bathroom, but before you eat or drink anything. A sudden jump of 2 or 3 pounds overnight is not fat, it is fluid retention, and that tells you something is off with how your body is handling fluids. Check your ankles before you put on socks. If they look puffy or leave a dent when you press them, write that down. If you already own a blood pressure cuff, take a reading in the morning and note whether it trends down or stays spiking. These are the real signals, not just how you feel. Now let us talk about what you eat right after that morning glass, because breakfast can undo everything. Sodium is the obvious problem, but most people think about salt shakers and miss the bigger sources. Packaged breakfast sandwiches, instant oatmeal packets with flavoring, deli meats, processed cheese slices, even some breads pack more sodium in 2 slices than your kidneys want to handle in half a day. Sodium pulls water into your bloodstream, raises pressure inside the delicate filtering units of your kidneys, and over time that pressure causes scarring. You will not feel it happening, but your next creatinine lab will reflect it. The swaps are simpler than you think. Plain rolled oats cooked with a little cinnamon and a handful of berries gives you a warm breakfast with almost no sodium. Eggs scrambled with dried herbs instead of ham or bacon. A slice of whole grain toast with mashed avocado or a thin spread of unsalted peanut butter. Plain yogurt, if dairy does not bother you, topped with fresh fruit. These are not exotic ingredients. They are sitting in most grocery stores and they cost less than the packaged alternatives. I want to pause here and say something about the word flush. It sells videos, I get that, but your kidneys do not need flushing the way a clogged pipe does. They need consistent low pressure, steady hydration, and less inflammatory stress. Small, repeatable habits beat aggressive, quick fixes every single time, especially for older adults whose bodies do not bounce back the way they used to. That brings us to the 4th piece of this ritual, and it is the one most people leave out entirely. Add 1 anti-inflammatory choice to your morning and keep it simple. My favorite? Ginger. You can grate fresh ginger into hot water for a light tea alongside breakfast, or add a small piece to your oatmeal while it cooks, or slice it thin and let it steep while you get ready. Ginger contains compounds called gingerols that have been studied for their ability to dial down inflammatory pathways in the body. Do you know why does that matter for creatinine? Because systemic inflammation makes everything harder on your kidneys. It raises oxidative stress, it worsens blood pressure control, and it can accelerate the very damage you are trying to slow down. This ritual is not just about making more urine. It is about taking pressure off your system during the first half of the day when your body is setting its metabolic tone. Hydration, low sodium, and 1 anti-inflammatory food stacked on top of that morning ACV glass. Give your kidneys a window where they are not fighting against dehydration, a salt load, and inflammation all at once. But here is where most people go wrong. They take something that works and push it too far. Mistake number 1 is the belief that more is better. If 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar helps, 3 tablespoons must help more. That thinking lands people in trouble. Too much vinegar can irritate the stomach lining, erode enamel even with rinsing, and in rare cases, drop potassium levels low enough to cause problems, especially if you are already on blood pressure medication that affects potassium. Too many herbs at once can interact with each other or with your prescriptions in ways you cannot predict. Stick to the simple version: 1 to 2 teaspoons of ACV, 1 glass of water, and ginger as your single add-in. Do not turn it into a chemistry experiment. Mistake number 2 is using this ritual to avoid looking at the bigger picture. If your creatinine is high because of uncontrolled blood pressure, diabetes that is not well managed, daily ibuprofen use for arthritis pain, a low-grade urinary tract infection you have been ignoring, or worsening kidney disease that needs a nephrologist's attention, no morning drink will fix that. The ritual can support you, but it cannot replace treating the root cause. Be honest with yourself about what is actually driving your numbers. Over the 10 days, track what you can see at home. How many glasses of water you actually finish by noon, your morning blood pressure if you have a monitor, whether your ankles swell by evening, how often you urinate, and whether the stream is normal or weak, your energy level through the morning, not just right after coffee. These patterns tell you more than a single lab draw ever could, because creatinine on paper is a snapshot and your daily habits are the full movie. Let me set expectations clearly. Some people will see their creatinine drop on their next blood test after 10 days of better hydration and lower sodium. Others will not, because their kidney function has declined to a point where lifestyle changes slow the progression but do not reverse the numbers. Both outcomes matter. Slowing down kidney decline is a win, even if the lab value does not move the way you hoped. A quick word on safety. If you have stage 4 or 5 chronic kidney disease, if your doctor has put you on a fluid restriction, if you have stomach ulcers or severe reflux, if you take blood thinners like warfarin, or if you are on medications for diabetes or potassium management, ask your clinician before adding vinegar or ginger to your daily routine. These are generally safe foods, but your specific situation may require caution. And if you notice very low urine output over a full day, chest pressure, sudden severe swelling in your legs or around your eyes, vomiting that will not stop, confusion, shortness of breath, or a blood pressure reading that spikes unexpectedly, stop the ritual and call your doctor or go to the emergency room. Those are not side effects of apple cider vinegar. Those are signs that something serious is happening and you need medical attention, not a morning drink. The glass matters, but the repeatable morning pattern around it matters more than any single ingredient. Try the simple version first: 1 to 2 teaspoons of ACV in water, steady hydration through the morning, a low sodium breakfast, and a bit of ginger. Track how you feel for 10 days, write down what you notice, and bring those notes to your next doctor visit along with your lab questions. Which part of this morning ritual will you start with tomorrow? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more kidney-friendly routines that do not require a cabinet full of supplements, hit subscribe so you catch the next one. I'll see you next time.